Welcome! This video is going to be about a pretty epic trip that myself, my husband, and my two kids are going to be taking come September. Myself, middle-aged lady, and my husband, my son will be 16 by the time we go, and my daughter will be 14. You might wonder what we're going to do about two teenage kids that need to be going to school. Well, in Canada, at least in most provinces, we live in British Columbia, we're allowed to have our kids do online education. And in fact, my son's already experimented with that. So my son will take grade 11 online, and my daughter will take grade 9, which is going to be interesting. I am going to be learning Spanish. I've already started with Duolingo, which seems to be working quite a bit better than the education where I tried to go and learn in person. The end game is that my husband and I want to spend a whole bunch of time in Mexico in the future, and learning Spanish by living in the culture of and surrounded by Spanish people is really a lot of what this trip is going to be about. Okay, you might be wondering what this is behind me here. This is all my research so far of where we're going and maybe some of the stops that we're going to be taking, although quite a bit is still up in the air. We plan to be out of Canada for 275 days, thereabouts. And we think we're going to hit 20 different cities, 10 countries. Probably about 60,000 kilometers will be clocked, times 4. It's a lot of air miles, if we can manage to capture them. And we're going to touch on Europe, many places in Europe, and Southeast Asia. Okay, 2 more things to touch on. Cash. This is not cheap for 4 people. We're not going to be doing it like a lot of the millennials are doing it in the budget hostel. I mean, obviously we're too old for that. And yet there are some videos that I've seen out there where families are traveling and they're traveling in business class, and that's not going to be us either. So we're going to be kind of probably in the middle. And I spent the whole of last year, in my last year of working full time, saving at least half my income. And I kind of knew that I would not be working for some time. So we have that as our initial sort of cash flow. But our plan is that my husband's going to work. His job is letting him work from Europe. In fact, they prefer him to be over there. And so we're going to try and do this within his net income and the small amount that we're going to get from renting out this house. One last thing to talk about as the setup, and that is side projects. And as if we aren't going to be busy enough traveling around, our lives are not unbusy here either. So we wanted to make sure we had enough to keep us challenged and sort of engaged in the trip. So I'm going to be doing these travel videos, and to some degree so will my son and daughter. My son is going to be composing and producing original music that we'll be featuring, and my husband is going to be working on a environmental aspect to all the places that we're going. So he's doing a bunch of research now and is seeing how he's going to incorporate that into each stop. Okay, where to go? As you can see here, this is an overall map, kind of small, of where we're starting here in Vancouver as we head over to Europe, over to Southeast Asia, back to Europe and home. In order to make this happen, we are not spending money, kind of making it more difficult for ourselves, on a bunch of different work visas or sort of long-term stays, as it were. Instead, we're going to go on what's called a Schengen Visa. And that means, for Canadians anyways, we don't actually have to get the visa. We get 90 days free in Europe, in the 26 countries that comprise that Schengen area. And so, basically we want to do a lot of time in Spain, as I said before, and then in order for my husband to maximize his working situation, he's going to have to be able to come back when we're in Southeast Asia. So I'll link to the calculator that's involved with estimating your dates and making sure you're not staying too long, because it's 90 days in 180, and that's a rolling calculation. Sounds simple, it's a little bit more complicated than that. And then we'll spend about 110 days outside of the 26 countries in Europe, and then we'll get another 80 back in. Okay. So first stop, and we've already booked our place, so we have made the first commitment would be really difficult to go back on, and that is in Barcelona. So we're going to stay there for 2 months. That's going to get us really into the groove of being away from home, living in a much smaller space, being together a lot, and then also our studies and our side projects, and then going out and doing lots of fun things in those 2 months. I think it's going to fly by. As well, September and October, about 23 degrees in Barcelona, so keeping up with the summer temperatures that we'll have as we leave Vancouver. Then, while we're in that part of the world and sticking with the heat, I really wanted to dip down to the Canary Islands. So that's just west of North Africa. It's controlled by Spain, so we'll still be in the zone, but I wanted to do a couple weeks there. I think that's going to be fun. And then, because we're so close to Morocco, and because there's such amazing things going on in Morocco right now, I mean, there has been for a very long time, the history is so long, and fly into Casablanca, and then day trip probably from there. I'd love to go to Marrakesh. I just don't know how much time we'll have to get up to Fez and all the places I'd love to see in Morocco. My husband is not sure that we can manage to fill up December 1st to December 12th. I think it's not going to be a problem. He knows that I love Casablanca because of the movie. He keeps reminding me, hoping that I realize Humphrey Bogart won't be there, and of course, that's not why I want to go. There's just amazing sights to see there. Okay, then for Christmas and New Year's, I want to be in an amazing place, and that is going to be down here in Bali, way down on our map. We'll go all the way from Morocco over to Bali for the full 30 days that we're allowed there as Canadians. I'd love to spend 3 months there. Don't know if I can afford it, because right now, at least the rates on Christmas and New Year's time frame are a little bit spendy. But we'll have another 2.5 months or so that we can have some fun in Southeast Asia. So we definitely want to hit Thailand. Bangkok here will be probably a hub going in and out by flying. At least that's what I've budgeted for. Want to go up to Chiang Mai up here, and we want to spend some time in the Thai Islands. Going over to Cambodia, I definitely want to do Angkor Wat. While we're there, I mean, it just seems like the most amazing thing to do. I'm sure we could spend the rest of the 2 months in those two places, but while we're down there and having interesting things we could go do, different things, I'd like to go to Laos and to Myanmar. Not a lot is taken about this travel destination right now. That's been mostly backpackers and really adventurous travelers, because it was only in 2012 that it opened up to more tourism. So the infrastructure is not probably as sophisticated as what we'll see in the rest of Southeast Asia. We might not spend so much time there, but I definitely would love to go. From the photos I've seen so far, it just looks amazing. And then we'll probably go on up to Hong Kong, and maybe even into Shenzhen, which is in China, where my husband has an office, and he may get called back to that location while we're traveling around in Southeast Asia. Hong Kong is going to break the budget, but a couple of days, it'll be fun to show the kids the sights in that metropolis. And then we get to come back for our last 80 days in Spain. And we really want to make that count. At least I do. So we'll probably fly back to Barcelona for a couple of days. Then I want to spend some time down in Valencia. My son is looking at a graduate program there. It's a few years away, but it would be a great opportunity to go and tour that facility. Maybe down to Granada, Seville. You can see the temperatures are still in the high teens, even getting into March and April. And then up to Vigo, potentially up here in Basque, in Bilbao and Saint Sebastian. I think I just want to hit as many of the great places that there are to hit in Spain, and that's not even all of them, it's just a sampling. While we're still in the zone, and if time and money permits, within those 80 days, the kids would love to get up to Norway, which is where I've spent a good chunk of the last 15 years of my working career, and we're currently, when my husband needs to be in Europe, it'll be in Norway. So we'd love to get up to Oslo. My family's from Sweden, so I'd love to go and spend a few more days in Stockholm. I've only been there for a long weekend so far. But time and money will really dictate, because those are not cheap countries. And then on the way home, we can go to the UK for as many days as we want. Again, it'll be about finances, because it's not going to be a cheap place to hang out for too much time.